I wish to update the country on the state of security since Wednesday this week. Yesterday, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, concluded the 2017 general elections upon the declaration of His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta as the President-elect. I wish to thank Kenyans for keeping calm throughout the tallying process and cooperating with security actors which ensured peace and security. Across the country, there has been a state of public safety and security. By and large, life has returned to normal, and as I have indicated, I urge everyone to go about their normal activities assured of safety and security. In spite of this general state, there have been erratic incidents of lawlessness in a few places, such as Kibera in Nairobi and parts of Kisumu County. In these places, reports indicate that criminal elements have attempted to take advantage of the situation to loot and destroy property. The security forces have reported that they have responded appropriately and they have restored normalcy in most of these parts. I wish to remind the public that whereas we enjoy the right to hold demonstrations, this must be carried out peacefully and unarmed without posing threat to life or property. Furthermore, the enjoyment of this right does not allow any citizen to infringe on the rights of other citizens. I reiterate that the government will stop at nothing short of protecting the lives of Kenyans and their property, and warn any person that may have criminal intent that they will face the full force of the law. I wish to acknowledge that the independent media has by and large reported responsibly. However, we note that some sections of the media have been broadcasting old footage of violent incidents, with some of it drawn from outside the country. The media has a responsibility in law to inform accurately and not to fan violence. I urge every media house, both local and international, to exercise their duty responsibly. In the same vein, I wish to reiterate my call on the responsible use of social media platforms. Part of the challenges we face right now in the country in respect of those places that I mentioned is related to inflammatory communication on social media. We have in the last few days noted a significant increase in the number of false and inflammatory messages being spread on social media platforms. Some of these carry rumors and inciting messages that risk sparking violence. As you are aware, we have laws that govern against the abuse of social media, and the government will not hesitate to take action against culprits. Security agencies are strictly instructed to track and arrest the culprits, and accordingly, I need to point out that I have been informed this morning that we have made some arrests, and we will continue to do this to ensure that there is a measure of responsibility in the manner in which we conduct ourselves. Now that the elections are behind us, I urge Kenyans to revert to their normal lives. As always, our security agencies remain alert and ready to safeguard both life and property within our territory. I need to say this, which will go to emphasizing some of the things I've said in the formal statement I have read. We are responsible public servants. We know that everything we do is business will be held to account for. And therefore what we tell you and what we say is information we are 100% sure about. Our country is safe, our country is secure. Save for the places I have mentioned, Kisumu, parts of Nairobi like Mathare and Kibera, the rest of the country is completely safe and Kenyans are moving on with their businesses. The impression being created through irresponsible use of social media that we have security challenges in this country is false. Some of the information contained in that social media communication is not true. I am grateful, and we have to be very honest as public servants and tell you this. We are sincerely grateful to most of our mainstream media in Kenya. We have seen a measure of responsibility. A number of senior editors have called us this morning from several media houses to clarify certain things, either they're hearing or certain things they're seeing on social media. And we have been forthright, available, and totally honest in explaining the information we have and how we have dealt with the situations. So it's not true that we have security challenges other than in the areas that I've mentioned. And even in those areas, let us be honest, fellow Kenyans, and in all fairness, there are no demonstrations happening because peaceful demonstrations and picketing are protected by the Constitution. Our police always act according to the law. Anyone who would like to have or hold a peaceful demonstration will be protected by the law. They know what they need to do. Notify the police, work with the police, and they will carry on with their peaceful demonstration and their picketing. That is protected by the law. We know it. We ourselves will ensure that we protect it. But individuals or gangs that are looting shops, that want to endanger lives, that are breaking into people's businesses, those are not demonstrators. They are criminals. And you expect the police to deal with criminals how criminals should be dealt with. So I want to ask us, and particularly ask our fellow Kenyans in these three places I have named. My brothers and sisters, we are each other's keeper. This is our country. You have a right to express displeasure, and you have a right to feel unhappy, and you can do so lawfully. We too are your brothers and sisters. We are your government, and we are responsible enough to hear you and to do whatever it takes to address whatever grievance you have. If you have a question to ask us, it is our responsibility to answer it. But please do not hurt a fellow Kenyan. Do not break into people's property. Do not damage people's homes, because this is hurtful. We are each other's keeper. We have been living together all along. There's no reason why we should disrupt people's businesses, either because we think that is how to express displeasure. Finally, I continue to thank you, and on behalf of my colleagues in the security sector, as you can see here, we are grateful for what we have seen and how most of our mainstream media has conducted itself. But please, we want to ask you also that let us all make some concerted effort to deal with the challenge we face with social media. Much of what is going on in social media is very destructive to our country. It distorts facts, and in most cases, we're just seeing lies. People tell me this morning about people having been killed here, there, elsewhere. We would tell you if that happened, and we would know, and we are honest enough. The Inspector General of Police is here. We are honest enough. If that happens, we will tell you, and we will own up that something has happened. At the moment, it just simply is not true. These are just lies. Let's stop falling victim to negative-minded people who would like to create alarm in the country. There is no need for alarm. The country is secure. We are safe. We are going about our activities, and let us all work together and join together to continue developing our country as we must, as responsible citizens. Thank you very much, and may God bless you indeed, and may God bless our great country even as we move on after the general elections. Thank you.
So thank you from the SABC. I just want to find out there are no casualties on this book, and the second question is for to really hold, or the environment that you have described to hold, I think it will also demand a collective responsibility from the political leaders across the spectrum. Is there a political will from all politicians in Kenya to ensure that there is peace in Kenya? Because you can have security personnel, you can have Kenyan gangs and everything. At the end of the day, it is what is said, or politicians, the statement that can back progress.
Thank you very much. I would like to actually start with your second question before I talk about casualties. Yes, there is political will in the country, and I want to speak on behalf of the government. After he voted on Tuesday, His Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic, and now Deputy President-elect, spoke very strongly about inclusivity, oneness, that we are one nation, regardless of the outcome of the general elections. But most importantly, our President-elect Uhuru Kenyatta, last night in his acceptance speech, spoke so eloquently and passionately about the fact that we are one nation, we are one people. We have been, and so we shall continue to be. Elections come and go, governments will be elected, they come and they go, but we remain Kenyans. And the President opened up his arms and said, let's all work together and build our nation together. There can never be greater political will than that, than hearing it from the President-elect, speaking in his capacity as the father of the nation, the person who has now been given the responsibility by the people of Kenya to lead the country, saying, let's move on with life, let's work together. And what more political will can there be? The determination of our political leaders has been expressed openly, eloquently, and I would like to urge all political leaders in the country to follow suit and follow the President's position. On our part as public officials, we serve this country, all this country and all the people of this country, regardless of where they come from. Our service is blind to creed, ethnicity, age, region. We render the same service in the same manner, with the same passion to every single Kenyan. That's our duty, that's what the Constitution expects us to do. And we will protect all the people of Kenya. We have taken the oath of office to look after the country in its entirety. So, honestly speaking, the political ecosystem in the country supports togetherness and inclusivity. I hope if there are any politicians or any political leaders who think otherwise, sufficient evidence exists that those who have been given the mandate to lead the country want inclusivity and they want to work together with everyone. On the issue of casualties, frankly, I do not know of any casualties as we speak right now. There are, as I said, there are criminals. The Inspector General of Police has briefed us this morning about certain levels of detail about individuals who are trying to break into a hardware last night in Madare. We have been briefed about individuals who were trying to burn a bus. Now, the actual terminology we would use about those people is that they are criminals. And criminals are dealt with depending on the circumstances they are found and the force that they themselves are using against the security agencies. Our police department is increasingly professional, highly trained and prepared to protect. The doctrine of our police service is not to attack citizens, it is to protect the citizens of this country. And I do not know whether really our police are injuring or have injured any citizen, because that would go out of their code of conduct. But criminals who, under the law, either approach police officers, armed, or threaten the individual lives of the police officers, force is applied only to a measure that is allowed by the law, and the police know that. Next.
So are you telling us that you do not know any numbers or any people that were killed by live bullets by police last night in those places you mentioned?
I am not aware of anyone who has been killed by live bullets by police anywhere in this country.
Were police using live bullets on protesters last night around the country?
No.
We have reporters who are confirming that they had live bullets in different places where they were, and they have seen numbers of deaths in some of the places you mentioned, Kisumu for instance.
I am happy that you are saying they had. That is rumor and gossip. They had.
So you can tell the country right now without contradiction that there was no live bullets being used against protesters or disproportionate force against largely peaceful protesters in any part of the country.
Police have not used any disproportionate force against any protesters anywhere in this country. I can tell that, I can look you in the face and tell you, anyone who's making that claim is plainly lying and spreading rumors. Because peaceful protesters, as I've said before, the law protects peaceful protesters, and picketing is allowed by the Constitution. How many times, those of you who are reporting from Nairobi, how many times have our police officers escorted protesters along these streets who are hurling insults at various individuals who head government? Up and down this same street, Harambee House, how many times have our police officers escorted protesters around this street alone outside the office of the president? If they are peaceful protesters who are picketing, they are protected by the law. But people who are breaking into shops and looting are not peaceful protesters by any stretch of imagination.
Good afternoon, Mr. Alvin Superior from CTV News. Over the past few days after the elections, you've seen that there has been a lack of business activity, particularly here in the city centre as well. Has the Cabinet been able to ascertain the impact this has had on the economy?
No, because again, as it happens every 5 years, or in this case 4.5 years when we vote, elections are usually big events that require they involve a lot of people to do so many things. People move around up and down the country and so on. So it takes time for for people to get back to business, as has happened in the cases before. We haven't taken time to make those kind of calculations and say how much business have we lost and so on. But frankly, I don't think it's that significant. I've seen the head of public service issued a statement the other day and required all public servants to be at work. The government has been working since Thursday. Everyone has been on duty. I don't see really a major impact or a significant impact on the economy as it were. As I said, 9 out of 10 parts of the country, businesses are going on as usual and everybody's doing what they have to do. I am not aware of any major disruption of business across the country, and we are doing well. Lastly, Wenda, there's someone on this side. I think let's be fair to others.
I'm wondering if you have any evidence that these protests were pre-planned or even coordinated. Also, at Kisumu Hospital, people are reporting at least 5 people with live rounds were shot with live ammunition last night. So I'm a bit interested that you're saying no live ammunition was used. Also, in Kibera, people are reporting injuries sustained from live rounds. I also just want to know what measures, further measures you will be putting in place in order to combat these protests.
We have no evidence of pre-planning or coordination of what is happening around. And frankly, I would be lying to you if I told you that maybe sporadic incidents of crime in Kibera and Kisumu and so on are coordinated. We are not aware of any of that kind of coordination. It does not exist. And frankly speaking, as at now, I cannot make that kind of claim, and I cannot allege any coordination. Lastly, I think we have to be very careful, and I want to be very sincere with you, good people. And on this particular media, this is where I ask you to be very, very responsible. In the history of this country, especially after the enactment of Constitution 2010, peaceful protest, picketing is protected by the Constitution. In fact, if you followed the law, notified the police that you want to hold a peaceful demonstration, chances are that the police will actually escort you as you make your protest. I've given you a classic example. How many times, and you know this, how many times have police officers escorted Kenyans to Uhuru Park along this same street outside the office of the president who are protesting or are picketing on one or the other issues? Workers who are on strike, nurses who peacefully demonstrate and move around. This is allowed by our constitution, and I can assure Kenyans, the police will be very respectful of the law, and we are very respectful of the law. We will not interfere with a peaceful protest, provided the law is followed. But please also understand this. People who break into shops are not peaceful protesters. People who burn buses are not peaceful protesters by any stretch of imagination. People who break into people's homes to loot and steal are not peaceful protesters. So you cannot say the police used live bullets on peaceful protesters. It is not true. Let me be very honest with you. It is not true. The police have not used live bullets on any peaceful protesters. Why on earth will you actually shoot at peaceful protesters? Why would you do it? If people have given a notice to the police and said, on Friday afternoon we are going to hold a peaceful demonstration between point A and point B, and we will keep law and order, why would you do it? So it's not true. And please draw a distinction between what we all know as peaceful protesters who are working and doing everything they are doing strictly according to the law on the one hand, and opportunistic criminals, looters, and people who are breaking the law. And in that respect, in both cases, you need to understand that the police will respond differently. And at the moment, I can tell you, the police have not shot at any peaceful protester anywhere in this country. Thank you.